Hi, today we're going to be talking about what it looks like to actually right size your home. A lot of our previous videos have talked about kind of everything that comes before the moving and the letting go. So today we want to talk to you more about what the actual right fit is for you and how you figure it out. We're Kirsten and Troy Clark, and we're excited to share this time with you. So let's go ahead and jump in, Troy.
Yeah, well, I think to start with, the biggest thing I see when people are kind of right sizing is they talk about what they're leaving,
yes,
and not where they're going. And so I think it's really helpful for us to really kind of switch it around, because where you're leaving is almost, it's definitely secondary, if anything else. Like, it's really, the discussion is around what are you looking for? What are you hoping for? All that kind of stuff. So that's really where I feel like the focus should be.
Yes. And I think along those lines, a lot of times people feel like they should want something smaller, or maybe just something that's a mini version of what they already have, without really thinking through, what does the rest of my life look like, or then this next period in my life, and what's going to fit well with that.
Totally. And, it's the, here's what looking forward, here's what I think I need, versus what they actually need. So there's a lot of, well, we have this many kids and we need to have this many bedrooms and we need to have all these things. We'll talk through all of these in detail as we move forward. But it's that feeling of, I have this huge list of requirements. And then as we kind of go through it, it's like, do you?
Right.
I mean, maybe some of them are really important.
Yes.
But it's like kind of helpful to kind of talk through them.
And you and I did this when we were getting ready to make our next move, as we had a lot of honest conversations. And at the time, you and I were getting married and actually giving up separate houses. And so we were really used to having a lot of space. And so trying to really understand what works for us in this new life together and a new home together took a lot of conversations and discussion. We didn't just wake up one day and know exactly what we wanted.
Right.
Right.
So in today's video, we're going to talk about how do we get to where you're actually looking for, and how does that feel and look as we process through it. So let's start with, like, how do you actually live?
Right. And that really goes to walk through every single day. Like, each day as you're in your house, think about what's the first thing you do in the morning, and then how does your day progress from there? Like, I know you and I tend to get up in the morning and we like to spend some time in our family room. We have coffee. Sometimes we'll watch a little news. We're usually both doing things on a laptop, kind of getting ready for the day.
The cat's know to find us there.
Yes,
they're busy waiting by their food dish.
Their
and
time. Yes,
and then
their designated time with us, right? And then I'd like to get up and go for a walk, whereas you are happier to kind of just stay and hang out in the family room. I need probably clearer transitions in my day than maybe you do with that regard. So I tend to get up and go for a walk, and then I come back. And one of the things that we both like to do in the morning is work out. And so we realized is that we needed a space where we could work out.
Right. So what I hear you saying is, it's important when people are looking at kind of their next house, the next home, the next phase of their life, is, how do you live? Like, what rooms do you actually spend time in? Right. And then it's kind of like, which rooms do you use frequently? Which ones do you use almost never? Like, and we'll touch on a few of these, but things like, how often do you use the dining room? How often do you use the guest rooms? How often are the kids actually around if they've gone off to college? It's like, how much is a need versus kind of like a want or a guilt or things like that.
Because I know, like, in the last house I had, my living room was actually my office, because I needed an office space. I didn't have it, but I had this extra living room space that I literally had no need for. So,
right. And while we're looking at, maybe you're moving from a big house to a little house. And so we're talking about, what things do you actually need to carry over from what you have today to what you have tomorrow? But then also, looking forward to the next phase of life, what things do you not have today that you'd like tomorrow?
Yep.
So it's not just hacking things down and making it smaller or cheaper. That may be one of the solutions for you, but maybe the solution is, man, I wish I had a pool.
Yes.
I've always wanted to just, in my new life, maybe you're still working and you're working from home or something. Maybe you just want to sit by the pool. Maybe you want to be in an HOA that has a fancy pool, and I want to take my laptop and go use their Wi-Fi and sit by the pool, right? And who knows, nice, whatever actually. It is. Yes, exactly.
So should we just kind of walk through some of the space questions that like we've asked ourselves, and what we suggest others do is too? Especially so bedrooms, I think, are a big one, especially if you had children in your home for many years. You get used to having a bedroom for kids to share, or maybe a bedroom for each child, plus guest bedroom, all those spaces. And when you think now about what you were saying just a minute ago, how many people do actually spend the night in your house on a somewhat regular basis, it's a good time to really think about like the bedroom count. And what we found for most of our clients, 3 to 4 bedrooms tends to be the sweet spot.
Sure.
But it also
depends on the family size and things like that. But there's definitely a need versus guilt.
Yes, good point.
Right? Yeah. It's like, if you have a whole bunch of kids, do you feel guilty if everybody doesn't have a room? Right? Yes. I mean, one of the transitions we had to make, we have 4 kids, and transitioning into a house that we transitioned from multiple houses where the kids had rooms to a house now where we have multiple guest rooms, but none of them are assigned to the kids. Right. So we're working hard to keep it feeling like the kids don't have assigned rooms, so that when they come, nobody owns the space. Everybody gets a better room or something. It's, and even, speaking from our own personal experience, there are times when we have multiple kids here, but it's kind of interesting. We have planned for having all the kids here, or the ability to have all the kids here. But in reality, we've never actually had all the kids stay here at the house at any one time. They maybe 1 or 2 of them are staying nearby or close by and come and stay for meals and celebrations and things. But actually staying multiple nights, we've never had all the kids here at one time.
Right.
It's just something we kind of planned for, and it hasn't yet come to fruition.
Right.
Just kind of an interesting thing. So other things. So it's guests, garage. It's near and dear to my heart. If you ask me, our garage is never going to be big enough. We built a big garage, and now I'm ready for more garage space. So planning ahead, do you use your garage for storage? Do you use your garage for parking cars in it? Would you like to be able to park your cars in the garage? I mean, does it feel foreign to you? I think some people they've just never have parked in the garage. We have some friends
they just assume
it's basically a built-in storage unit is their garage, and the cars just live outside.
And one of the things that we're fortunate to have with our garage is we have a split space where we have 2 cars that load from one side and then a single on the other. And I park in the single and you park in the double with all of your garage things.
The gear.
But it's nice because then I have a nice clean space that I can easily unload whatever I'm bringing home. And I know I'm not getting in the way of whatever you're doing in the garage. And so that's a nice feature too. And good things to think about. Like sometimes the split is good. Sometimes having a really wide 3-car garage is great, depending on kind of what you're using with the space for.
So garage. How about outdoor space? Obviously when we moved, we moved into the country, so clearly outdoor space is a thing. We wanted space, but the question for people is, are you looking to spend time outside? How about maintenance level? I mean, you could have a big outdoor space that's really low maintenance. You could be at a phase in life where you're like, okay, it has a high maintenance, but we can hire somebody to maintain it for us. We don't have to do it. Or maybe you want what they call patio home, or some small kind of basically where it's just lock and go style, where the outdoor space is either managed by an HOA or you have such a small backyard you just don't care and you just want to travel and leave your yard to be it is.
And it's also with the outdoor space. One of the things that was important to me when we were looking at it was again, having a large outdoor gathering space, or we could put a long table outside, have friends over,
Sure.
have the kids over. So really understanding how you're going to live, what would be the uses or possible uses for it. And then another thing that we hear a lot of couples talk about is shady spaces, and also places for people that like to soak up the sun, because it's a very polarizing topic. It's actually kind of funny, and we are not on the same spectrum with that.
No,
and
nobody
so,
is.
Right. So it's good
It
to,
seems.
again, these are good conversations to have, and making sure that both parties are getting what they want from that. That's kind of a big thing. Next really popular discussion is around single story versus a two-story home.
For sure.
And we have, I would call it a hybrid, in the sense that our main living space is single story. Pretty much everything you and I do exists on the first floor, although you do have a flex office upstairs now. But generally our upstairs is for guests only.
Yeah. So it's a single story living with kind of a bonus space upstairs.
Right.
You know, it's but it is something to think about. You know, you may have grown up in a two-story house and don't think much about going up and down. But what about in 10 years? It's man, it's like, look at your parents is a good way to do it. Is just kind of to look at where things are going to go, and would they prefer a single story, you know, house if you were their age? Is one way to kind of look at it. It's just definitely something to consider, and at least think about, maybe if you really don't think you're going to mind having a second story, is your primary bedroom upstairs? So do you have to go up and down the stairs every day, every time you do laundry, every time, you know, these are things that we would talk clients through to kind of make sure they understand kind of what's going on. Not that there's anything wrong with two-story, and in many neighborhoods, two-story, if you want a largish house, two stories, what you're going to get.
Yep. So there's a very cliche one around the dining room, and we could probably talk about that, but I think that one is more of a enough said. But one of the other rooms that we've had a lot of conversations with clients about recently is actually like where people watch TV. And because what we have found is that there are some people that really like to entertain in a space does not have a TV co-located, because they really enjoy that personal kind of more quality focused time, and they don't want the distraction of a TV around. And so therefore they really need like a loft or a separate room or a larger garage to have the TV where they can hang out and have those conversations. So again, really thinking through how you are going to live in this house going forward. That's, you know, these kind of spaces matter.
Sure. Yeah. No. And I do think the dining room is an interesting one. Sometimes if you have space that maybe it's in a great room style space, space that you could flex into putting in, like maybe bringing in some folding tables and putting a tablecloth on it, making it look nice, or something that for the few times a year or every couple of years that you celebrate a big, large gathering at your house, do you need a dedicated dining room that's taking up square footage in your house? You know, or could you have a space that you kind of move some couches a little tighter than normal and move a few things around? You can get some tables in and really host a large gathering.
And actually, what we've noticed is that for large gatherings, having the flex space is often better than a dining room, because dining rooms tend to still have a limit. You can maybe have 8 or 10 people in there. Like we have a more of a flex space. We've actually sat 20 people in this area by kind of angling the table a little bit. So there are ways to make it work, and then maybe giving up a room that you wouldn't generally use very often and finding a different way to take advantage of that square footage. So should we talk about the features that seem like they really matter right now to people? One of the big ones that I think is just common, no matter what stage you're at in life, is that people really want that kind of light, bright, open, airy space, the dark rooms, the cozier, tighter, kind of more compartmentalized living is still appealing to some people, but feels like a lot of people really want the light, bright, airy now.
I would say yes, although because I prefer the open, light, bright, airy. It's surprising when we end up with a client that kind of prefers it a little bit more broken up, or at least not just one big room where you have a great room and a kitchen and stuff all kind of together, but maybe the great room's kind of around the corner just a little bit. Like from the kitchen, you can see that something's going on, but you're not in it. So it's different. And that's where like we can kind of come in to kind of suss out, Like, what is it?
That's the TV conversation.
Yes. And yes, exactly. It's also that, but it just like, and some people like it dark and cozy, and the big, bright and airy feels cold and, impersonal, like I'm in a museum. So there's differences, and it's okay. And so, but that's the part, is having therapists to kind of talk you through, like tell me about your lifestyle. How do you, that it kind of helps us kind of suss through that. So open layout. How about low maintenance? And when I say that, I'm not just talking about the yard. What about the house? Are the finishes in the house, are they kind of fussy? Are they, are there lots of nooks and crannies, or things to dust? Like, there's different things to, where you can have low maintenance yard and a low maintenance house as well. We kind of play that out.
Storage is a big one, and I'm going to talk about storage from a little different perspective, because storage is very important. But one thing that I think people that are maybe tall don't appreciate is how important reachable storage is. And really, because I've seen a lot of kitchens where you have these great upper cabinets, but all I think is,
where you hide the good stuff.
I'm going to need a ladder to get to those. So those really, to me, are not valuable storage space. Instead, it's nice having an island that has storage in it that I can just, reach down and pull out my larger items there. I'm not trying to do it over a head. And so, really looking at how you live in that space when we talk about storage, again, that's important.
I agree. And in touching on features, I think one of the ones that we haven't touched on is, what's the neighborhood features? Are you living in an HOA? Does that bother you? Some people are like, HOA, I don't want anybody telling me what color the front of my house can be, or if I change the, kill my front lawn, is somebody going to write me a nasty letter? And if I park my boat in my front yard, is that, going to get yelled at? On the flip side, some people really like having a nice, maintained, like, look and feel, where there's rules and people need to abide by the rules. Also, are you in a community that has, where are you living? Are you near stores and restaurants that you like, or would you prefer to be away from that? So there's these, it's not just like HOA and community, like clubhouse features, but sometimes it's just, what's the look and feel of the neighborhood? Is it quiet? Is it noisy? But maybe what you want is hustle and bustle. Right. So
yeah, I would say community, I think at the stage that, like, you and I are at, and many of people who are talking about rightsizing are at, is there's such a change when you are looking at retiring from your job. Maybe your kids have moved out of the house. So all of the places that you maybe got community from, including your neighbors, may all be slowly changing, evaporating. And you're looking at, how do you build community in your next life? Or what are your opportunities for building community? And that is why some people do choose to do the 55 plus communities. It's also why some people tend to go to neighborhoods where there are, lots of people out, activities, or we see people move to a downtown area because they want to just have people around them, because maybe they're alone or it's just a couple, and they just like to know that they
feel like things are happening.
Right. They could just step out and go get a coffee in the morning and engage with other people. Right. So that's a really important thought around this change in your life, is what does my community feel like? What are my opportunities to grow my community if I want to? And how do I make my next home fit that as well?
Yeah, no, I think it is important. So let's talk about surprises.
Surprises?
Yes. Sometimes people, when we're talking about right sizing, and then, or after they've, right sized, there are some things that are like, didn't expect that. One of the ones that jumps out to me is, sometimes we start and they say, hey, we have this big house. I want to keep having a big house. I just want it in a different part of town. I need to have all the kids come home. Some of it may be stuff we've even experienced. I don't think we've necessarily a surprise, but sometimes you plan for things to happen in a certain way. You don't have control over everything that happens. And all of a sudden you're like, the kids have their own life. And so it's like they come at their own times, and we can't get everybody to schedule all the same time. So sometimes people are surprised they don't miss the big space. right? All of a sudden they moved into a small space. It feels like it's all in control. I don't have to, it's like I'm not choosing what room to be in. You just have a smaller, cozier little space, and it feels sporty and nimble and costs less maybe and easier to take care of. And then they're jet setting off.
And there can be surprises sometimes around things that you didn't realize about your home or your community. And I would say that's our job as realtors, to really do what we can to point out that, like, hey, if you do live in an HOA, while it can be really fun, you are going to have rules, like you have a mom and dad again, like what color you can paint your house, whether you can put a fence in the backyard or do different alterations or things like that. So those are the surprises you want to avoid, but they can occur. Or especially one of the other things is people will say, oh, I don't mind backing to this busy street. And then once they get in, they're like, wow, it's really noisy out here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why we stood in the backyard, so you could hear it before we moved in. But, it happens.
Also, like if you have friends over, where do they park?
Yeah.
Do you have room on your driveway? Is there a room on the street? Are your neighbors always parking in front of your house? These are things to kind of play out and to kind of look at what's happening when we're shopping. It's pretty evident when we're shopping. It's not the day we show up to look at a house is usually pretty just, this is how it looks. So I would say that's one. And then the other one is like the noise. So it's both the outside noise, but then also any street noise. Or how about this? So Kirsten used to live on this Christmas light street. Sounds great, right?
It was great. I loved it.
It wasn't great. It sucked. It was very festive. The whole neighborhood decorates their houses.
It was great community.
There is basically a parade of cars every single night that comes through, slowly cruising by, minivans with the Christmas carols blazing. Oh, it sounds wonderful until trying to watch your TV show at like 8:00 at night, and there's like kids hooting and hollering outside, and like, Christmas carol people with their doors open, sound blaring. Or what if you got to run out and get a pizza and you come back and it is a slow parade. You can't drive around it. It's like cars just going through looking at Christmas lights. It's great. It's super festive until you just need to live your life. And then I found it super irritating. So
I want to talk about, we'll let you have that. Let's talk about one really great surprise.
Okay.
And I think one of my favorite surprises is when we have clients and they walk into a house and they just know it's the one. And you just see the look on their face. And I would say it's probably 50-50 or so, or maybe it's not the house that necessarily we thought, oh, this is going to be the one they fall in love with. But then as they start to talk through it, you really see why these things work for them. And then also it's kind of fun to see them say, well, like, oh, this doesn't really matter that there's no dining room. If they've been telling you that we have to have a dining room.
Yes. They start making excuses or reasons why it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't have that.
And I think that's great, because I think that's when they are probably being the most honest with themselves about what truly matters to them and what they are okay without. Right. And it's a really fun kind of reveal about who they are as people. It's fun to watch.
I think so. And I think that's a great transition into how do we build the list, right? Because one of the key components of building the list is not only making a list, and then it's going to sound funny because I'm going to say we should check it once or twice or continue to check it.
Are you going to grow a beard?
Yeah, exactly. We're back to the Christmas holiday spirit thing. But it's that as we go through and we have the kind of the criteria, we rank the criteria, like what's the most important thing to you in a house. But then as we see houses, let's leave room to evolve the list. When we start to go in and we start to have these semi-aha houses where you walk in and are like, oh, look at that backyard. Look at the pool. I love this pool. All of a sudden it's like, maybe the pool should be higher up the list, right? If every house that you've loved has a pool, or every house you love didn't have a pool, maybe we move the pool down, the list or something. But the point is that those aha moments, they start to come naturally as we show houses and we start to hone the list down and allow the list to evolve.
And In addition to allowing the list to evolve like organically, I think also look at some of the things that are holding you back. And I think, again, the dining room is a great example of this. And start thinking about what are solutions for that. Like if you are the one that's always hosted, can someone else in the family host now? And even maybe have that conversation. Hey, if I have a house that doesn't have that, would you be willing to take this on? And then that helps release some of the burden. And I think also if you're concerned about community, like if if potentially you raise your kids in a home and all the neighbors, and then you're the first one to leave because you have compelling reasons, it can be really difficult to just think about things other than what you're giving up. So using the opportunity to say, well, where else can I build community in my life? Is it that 55 plus home?
Yeah.
Is it like the church you go to, or can you start volunteering?
Right.
What are the other opportunities for you, and realizing that maybe what feels like a loss could actually turn into a great adventure or a new experience for you instead.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, there's definitely, when we talk about, the ranked list, and then as we start to see homes, there maybe we even talk about potential solutions to these, like the dedicated dining room. If it's really important, what if you were in an HOA or in a community that has a gathering space that's cool, not just like a warehouse, but like an actual fun gathering room that's just down the street, and you can just, instead of hosting it in your house, you host it there, and maybe there's a pool and you can just rent this outdoor space. There are solutions out there that don't mean that you have to have 300 square feet of dining room that just sits over in the corner, taking up space. But maybe it's important. So
but I think this is a good chance to kind of wrap it up with the thought that when you find the right house, it's really about getting clarity around what you want, and that you're not really compromising, that you're making choices that really do fit for you now.
Yeah, when it's right, it feels like a relief and not a sacrifice.
So if you are thinking about right sizing and just want to chat through or start working up a list of questions and what the answers to them could be, feel free to reach out to us, give us a call, send us an email. We'd love to talk to you.